Thank you very much. I'm really impressed myself about the large scale of diversity and achievements, the services you offer to the entrepreneurs. The next speaker, Mr. Richard Gallafent. It's a patent attorney with a huge experience working with people. Now we will find out more about what it means to work with a patent library, patent information center.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's nice to be back in Manchester, as you'll hear in a moment. I have been here before. Indeed, this was where Ideas 21 had a number of meetings some years ago, which were very helpful. Got a lot of inventors and entrepreneurs and local people interested, and it was fun. Now, I'd just like to do a quick bit of audience research first, and I want you to exclude me and any other patent attorneys in the room. How many of you have spoken knowingly, i.e. you knew they were a patent attorney, during the last week? Hands up. Only a few. Let's try during the last year. Oh, a little better, a little better. But not many of you are, I think it is fair to say, used to talking to patent attorneys. Well, you're now going to be talked to by a patent attorney for a little while, and there is, which you can't see but I can, a wonderful machine which is counting down second by second. So I know how much longer you have to suffer, but you don't. And I think that this little thing with a green button will do that. I wondered what it was Isabel was clutching. Now I know. I started what I would describe as talking to, yes, some inventors, but it's a broader category than that. People with ideas, people who had a vague idea that they wanted to know something about intellectual property or do something with intellectual property. Many years ago, I have been a member for my entire professional career of the Chartered Institute of Patent Attorneys, which is what CIPA stands for on the overhead. And many years ago it was suggested, when the profession was regarded as being rather unacceptably expensive, unapproachable, and in some cases unhelpful, that we should just be available to people. So pro bono, free work sessions were instituted. We had to be anonymous. They lasted for 30 minutes, and it was very interesting because instantly we were oversubscribed. Ideas 21 started a little later. It started with some people meeting together once a month in a pub. And there were one or two inventors, one or two people who wanted to help inventors, and one or two people who could even provide help to inventors. And it was friendly, helpful, and turned into a networking organization which has its own website, which has never been supported with large sums of money. I'm always jealous of the British Library because it can go to these people and say, how about a couple of million here or another million there? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Would we do any better good with that money? I don't know, because I am a very firm believer that the voluntary sector, as it is called, can do a great deal of good, and the reward is simply knowing that you have done some good. Perhaps not a great deal in the grand scheme of things, but it's better than doing no good at all each week. So we started doing sessions for individuals. The Patent Office was kind enough. It was then known as the Patent Office. It's now known as the Intellectual Property Office. And we started because we could, and people wanted information and advice. And some of it we could give them. And then in 2006, when the British Library Business and Intellectual Property Centre opened, we were there right at the very beginning. We knew about them, they knew about us, and we said, ideal. So we started, and we're still there, and it has been a lot of fun. In the meantime, here's the Manchester connection. We also ran meetings in Manchester for some years, some of them originally in this building, and then later on in the Cube, which is just up the road in John Dalton Street. And then we had sessions in the Circle Club, which is just round the corner too. We started parallel activity in Bristol in 2008. So what are these innovation surgeries? You have to call things something, don't you? What are they for? Providing information? Yes. Providing advice? Yes. Also for providing encouragement, because some people need that. But occasionally, sometimes, for providing discouragement. Don't do that. It's not going to get you anywhere. Let's talk about innovation surgeries, or whatever you want to call them, for a little, because it's quite important, we think, as people who've organised that and participated in it when other people have been organising it, to get the organisation right. And in this area, you have to have some rigour, some firmness. You need to get people booked, organised. You need to check their data. Most importantly, you need to work out what it is they want to talk about. Because sometimes it's patents, sometimes it's trademarks, sometimes it's how to move forward, sometimes it's how to get money. So what you need to provide as the clinicians in your surgeries is people who have expertise in those different areas. And not everybody has expertise across the board. So it's very useful to decide what the topic is, and sometimes people come along to the British Library when we're doing these surgeries, and they have two surgeries. One, for example, might be me, on intellectual property. One with somebody else who will tell them about how they can get their prototype made. That's quite different. It's also very helpful indeed when you are doing this to see where they are. Check if they have applied for anything. It's so easy to do these days. You've got their name, and of course you can ask them. And if they've applied for something, you ask them to bring the papers. Very easy, but very important. And it's important to do it because that way they are prepared and whoever is taking the surgery is prepared. Well, what happens next? That happens next. You have a meeting. The best meetings are one-to-one, because then you can get focus and concentration. It's also very helpful if people take notes, both you, because there might be some feedback as the clinician, and them, because otherwise they can find they've forgotten something afterwards. Indeed, sometimes people come these days with these little sort of square things, and they double up as recorders, and they just listen to you and they say thank you, and you take it away. They take it away, and hopefully they listen to it again later. It's very important to be direct, to be clear, and to stick to the timing. And if you are somebody who may be able to assist whoever it is you're talking to in a professional capacity, then we always say, give your business card if you want to. Of course, sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes you think to yourself, I do hope that these people get good service, but I don't want to help them because they would be a nightmare client. I won't say they're in a majority, and I will say that they are a challenge, but do remember when you are working with professionals that professionals have only a certain capacity for nightmare clients. Well now, what else do you have to do? You have to ask the right questions, as I have said, and you have to relax people. It's very easy. The Queen is very good at this in this country. It is reputed that whenever she greets you, and you have to remember to call her Ma'am, but that's all right, the people who are organising things tell you that first. She says, have you come far? And the answer to that is not from where, or are we talking time or distance, because that would be an act of, well, if not treason, at least some discourtesy to the monarch. So you say, I live just round the corner. And then you try and keep some sort of conversation going. Confidentiality is very important. It is usually implied that some people, indeed many inventors, are completely paranoid, and they realize that not only is the world out to get them, but to get their ideas. So have some sort of confidentiality arrangements, though if, as is the case when you are talking with professionals, many times it is completely implied by the circumstances or imposed by one's obligations of professional conduct and behavior.